Hello, everyone. Today, we will study the section on materials for masonry in the chapter on masonry works construction. In our daily lives, the most common masonry material we see is brick. Besides bricks, masonry work also uses rubble, blocks, mortar, and other materials. All these materials used in the construction works shall be accompanied by product qualification certificates and product performance test reports. Blocks, cement, rebar, sand, and admixtures must also have re-inspection reports when delivered to the site. It is strictly prohibited to use materials banned by national regulations, such as clay and fired bricks. This lesson is divided into 4 parts. First, bricks. Second, classification of stone materials. 3. Preparation of masonry blocks. 4th, preparation of masonry mortar. First, let's look at the first part, preparation of bricks. The type and strength grade of bricks must meet the design requirements, and their dimensions should be uniform. For exposed brick walls and columns, the bricks should also have neat edges and corners, as well as uniform color and texture. Bricks delivered to the construction site must be retested in a lab, with a retest report provided. Remember, when laying brick masonry, except in winter, bricks should be watered 1 to 2 days in advance to prevent dry bricks from absorbing moisture during laying, which would reduce mortar workability and flow, and weaken its bonding and overall strength. However, bricks should not be overwatered to the point where they cannot absorb excess moisture from the mortar, as this can affect the density, strength, and bonding of the mortar. Overwatering can also cause mortar to fall off and bricks to slip. Wetting the bricks immediately before masonry must be avoided, as water films on the brick surface will adversely affect the quality of the masonry. Generally, bricks should be semi-dry and semi-wet, with water penetrating about 10 mm into them. Moisture content should be 10 to 15% for fired common bricks and perforated bricks, and 8 to 12% for sand lime bricks and fly ash bricks. The simplest method to check the moisture content is to break a brick on site. If the water penetration depth at brick cross-section reaches 15 to 20 m, it is acceptable. It is important to note that bricks should not be watered while placed on scaffolding. Next, let's move on to the second part, preparation of stone materials. Natural stone is a traditional building material. In masonry work, the stone used should be hard and durable, free from weathering, flaking, or cracks. For exposed stone walls and columns, considering the aesthetic requirements of the finished product, the stone should also have a uniform color. Any contaminants such as mud on the stone surface should be cleaned off before use. Stone materials are classified into dress stones and rubble stones based on their shape and size specifications. Dress stones are processed stones with regular shapes, typically 900–1,200 mm long, and about 300 mm wide and thick. Rubble stones are unprocessed stones without regular shape. They are further divided into random rubble stones and squared rubble stones. Random rubble stones refer to stones with irregular shapes, while squared rubble stones are irregularly shaped stones with 2 roughly parallel planes. Stone masonry refers to masonry constructed using random or squared rubble stones. The strength grades of stone materials and masonry mortar should meet design requirements. Commonly used mortars include cement mortar and cement lime mortar, with mortar joint fullness of no less than 80%. The third part covers the preparation of masonry blocks to conserve energy, protect land resources, utilize industrial waste, and meet the evolving needs of the construction industry. China has phased out traditional clay bricks, thereby changing the backward practice of using traditional Qing bricks and Han tiles. Many new types of wall materials are now in use. Replacing fired clay bricks with building blocks is an important approach to wall reform. In recent years, small and medium-sized building blocks have been widely adopted across China. Common types include fly ash silicate blocks, concrete small hollow blocks, and coal gang blocks. Building blocks with a height of 380 to 940 mm are classified as medium-sized, while those under 380 mm are classified as small-sized. Next, let's move on to the fourth part, the preparation of masonry mortar. Mortars used in masonry include cement mortar, lime mortar, and composite mortar. The role of mortar in masonry is to transfer superimposed loads, bond the masonry units together, and enhance the overall strength of the masonry. The selection of mortar type and the determination of its grade shall be based on design requirements. Generally, cement mortar is primarily used in damp environments and for masonry with high strength requirements. Lime mortar is mainly used for masonry in dry environments and where strength requirements are not high. Composite mortar is predominantly used for above-ground masonry with relatively higher strength requirements. Next, let's look at material requirements. The types and grades of cement used for masonry mortar shall be selected based on the location of the masonry and the environment conditions. Before being used on site, the cement shall be retested in batches for strength and soundness. Different types of cement should not be mixed. The sand used for mortar shall not contain harmful impurities. The mud content of the sand should meet the following requirements. For cement mortar with a strength grade of M5 or above, it shall not exceed 5%. For cement mortar with a strength grade below M5, it shall not exceed 10%. On construction sites, sand shall be stored on higher ground to prevent muddy water from affecting its use. When preparing cement mortar, lime paste is made by slaking quicklime. Slaking should be filtered through a 6 mm sieve and fully slaked. The slaking time should not be less than 7 days. Lime paste in the sedimentation tank should prevent drying, freezing, and contamination. Strictly prohibit the use of dehydrated, hardened lime paste. Slaked lime powder should not be directly used in masonry mortar. During construction, when cement mortar is used as a substitute for composite mortar, its grade shall be increased by 1 level. Any organic plasticizers, early strength agents, retarders, antifreeze agents, or similar additives are added to the mortar. Should be tested, properly proportioned, and confirmed to meet requirements before use. The second part is the preparation and use of mortar. Masonry mortar can be mixed manually or mechanically. When using mechanical mixing, the mixing time should comply with the provisions specified in the table. When inspecting the strength of masonry mortar test blocks, their compressive strength shall meet the following requirements. First, the average compressive strength of mortar test blocks in the same acceptance batch shall not be lower than the cube compressive strength corresponding to the design strength grade. Second, the minimum average compressive strength of a group of mortar test blocks in the same acceptance batch shall not be lower than 0.75 times the cube compressive strength corresponding to the design strength grade. Third, for each acceptance batch of masonry mortar, the number of groups of test blocks for the same type and strength grade should not be less than 3 groups. With 6 test blocks in each group, each block is a cube with a standard size of 70.7 mm. Fourth, when there is only 1 group of test blocks in an acceptance batch, the average compressive strength of the test blocks in this group shall not be lower than the cube compressive strength corresponding to the design strength grade. Next, let's summarize the content of this lesson. First, we introduced several types of masonry materials. Then, we divided the topic into 4 parts: preparation of bricks, preparation of stones, preparation of small and medium-sized masonry blocks, and the preparation methods of masonry mortar. Regarding these knowledge points, after class, you can conduct virtual simulation training through Sunhao architectural simulation software. Hope everyone can uphold the spirit of craftsmanship and truly master professional skills.